Hi, this is Professor Cordes, and this is the Week 6 lecture video for English 123 Intermediate Composition. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Draft 2. Draft 2 is essentially where we take all of the criticism, all of the feedback that's been given to us from classmates, myself, the professor, as well as the online tutoring program from Smart Thinking. And we begin to go into our paper and we add and change and modify things that we see fit in order to make our paper as academically strong as possible. So let me first off start by saying, there we go, that when you submitted draft 1, that was the preliminary stages. Here are my thoughts. Here's how they relate back to my thesis. This is what I think. Now we're moving into making sure that all of our responses back to our thesis are as strong as possible, making sure that we've got a clear, arguable position and that it's supported well. You will notice right here in the rubric itself, the very first thing that we focus in on, do you have that thesis statement? And is that thesis clear and understandable throughout your entire paper? Okay. The other component that we have is coinciding evidence. Does your evidence connect back? Okay. Does your evidence support what you are trying to prove in that academic conversation? Okay. You can read through the rubric to see the other components. Those are the primary two that need to be focused on. If you haven't hit those already, I've probably given you some direction and some feedback. In your paper itself, there's obviously this huge list of things that we need to focus on, and it's difficult sometimes to focus on all of it. What I would strongly suggest, ladies and gentlemen, is taking the criticism and feedback and going in small pieces and small chunks. So take a moment to look through your draft and look at the smart thinking items and see where you can add 2 or 3 sentences, or where can you make things make sense a little bit more. Okay. With that being said, you have been in this writing process now for 6 weeks, and it's in your mind and it's on your thoughts. And it's all probably all consuming. The goal is to get that outside feedback, that outside perspective, so that you can understand what's really going on and then be able to explain it more. Anytime that I do writing, I think it makes sense altogether. Like, oh yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. And I'll write out all of my thoughts in my sentences. It's not until I get feedback, it's not until I get criticism that I find where the gaps are. So I understand things, and I understand this argument, but this person over here doesn't, and I need to help them understand what's going on so we are all on the same page academically for our discussion, okay? So take a moment, start with the smart thinking feedback. Keep that together with your first draft. Then the other thing that you are doing this week is the discussion board for your essay intros. The feedback that you receive from those classmates, use that. If your feedback says, hey, you need to take out the personal voice, that's the next test that you work on. Okay. And you go through your entire paper and you cut off every time that you have the academic voice or the personal voice, and you switch it to the academic voice. Maybe your research is sound, but one of your classmates said, I don't see where you connect this back to your thesis. I don't understand how this point connects to this point. At that moment in time, you need to stop and say, okay, let me show you the connection. Because in our head, it makes sense. In our head, it makes perfect sense. However, other people may not see those connections. Okay. And those are the things that we want to bring together for draft 2. I will get your feedback to you as soon as possible. There's a lot of students that I'm going through each essay rather diligently to make sure that you have all of those necessary components. If I don't give you quality feedback, it's because you are exactly where you need to be and you're on the right track. If there's something that's desperately lacking, I will let you know, help you figure out how to fix it. We can talk about piecing those things together for that final paper. So a couple strategies that I've used in the past to help me move forward and improve on my writing. Okay. The first one, and I've mentioned this before, is to let my writing rest and let my brain rest at the same time. So if you work for an hour, you rest for an hour. And this is all part of time management because you'll need to make sure that you understand what's going on. If you work for 30 minutes, give yourself 30 minutes of rest. If you take all of the feedback from smart thinking, add it into your entire paper, give yourself a chance to rest, and let your brain think about something else. Because when you come back to your work, you've had a chance to like detox, you've had a chance to like decompress, so that when you look at your writing, it can give you a set of fresh eyes. Okay, I've used that term before. Another strategy that I've used is to have people read my paper aloud to me so that I can hear what they are reading. Okay. This is great for auditory learners. This is also just simply great because then you get to hear how they are reading the paper. I've emailed my paper to people. They've called me on the phone. They've read through the paper, and you will hear them when they fumble over a sentence. You'll hear them when they pause because they are trying to process through what is going on. You'll hear grammatical mistakes because when you're typing, you may not catch those immediately, or in your head you said it properly but typed it out incorrectly. Always having someone read it back to you is beneficial. Even when I haven't had anyone around, I've gone to my computer and there's a little like review audio read aloud feature that most computers have now, and you could just have it them read it back to you. But when you do that, you get to hear what it sounds like. So while you may think that's the best sentence ever, it may be really hard to articulate or get through, or it's simply just not on track. Like I've had a lot of times readers will be like, wait a second, I don't understand how this point connects back here. I get this part, but how does it connect? So that's all part of the reading process. If you even wanted to reach out to your classmates, that might be beneficial as well. To say, hey, can you read over these 2 pages? Tell me if it makes sense. Do a voice message so that you can hear your writing. Okay. So that's my second strategy for you. My third strategy is actually, and this will sound odd, to read your paper backwards. Okay. This does not mean read the sentence backwards, but start at the bottom and read the sentence and then the next and the next and the next. Because when you read backwards, you're almost able to forget the content and then be able to focus on each sentence as you go through. So when I grade my students' essays, sometimes I will grade from the bottom all the way to the top, simply because I already know the content that they're writing about. I need to check for grammar. I need to check to make sure that is this sentence explained in the next one. So a lot of times we have our thoughts and we keep writing, but then if we read it backwards, we'll start with that ending sentence and we're like, wait a second, that's not as strong as it could be as it stands alone. Let me read the next one. Okay, now it makes sense. And so it's this idea of finding balance that I have found to work extremely beneficial. So start at your conclusion, read the last sentence, read the second to last sentence, read the third to last sentence, and then you keep going through your paper. And that kind of helps you to see, can this sentence stand alone? Can this sentence relate back to my thesis as it sits there? Okay. Always make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you've got a quality balance between the background information, your quality reasoning, okay, your evidence, your reasoning, and that you are playing into the argument that you're discussing. Okay. The point, the position that you are taking. Make sure that there is some sort of balance. If you were to look at everything together, okay, like on one plate, you've got different items. The idea is to make sure that you're getting equal amounts as you go through. So to have like a full page of research outweighs the commentary and your analysis that you have later on. Okay. By chunking it, like you need to balance. If I've got a plate of food, I'm going to take a bite of this, I'm going to take a bite of that, and I'm going to take a bite of this. And then I'm going to kind of circle around. The same thing happens when you are doing your writing. Here's the point I'm trying to prove. Here's my research. Here's what the research does. This is how it connects back to my thesis. Here's my next point. Let me introduce that next point. Let me get you into a place where you can trust what I'm talking about. Go to the next component of my research? How do I analyze it? How do I comment on it? How does it relate back to my thesis? So you want to balance all of those things out, just like you're balancing the writing process. You're writing for 30 minutes, you're resting for 30 minutes. Balance in your writing itself so that these things are moving from the developing stage into the accomplished and the excellent stage. Okay, that's where we want to go. All right. I've referenced to this before. After the end of the 8 weeks, I'm unable to collect any work. It needs to be finished and finalized by the end of the course. So please, if you are missing something up until week 6 now, a discussion board, you forgot to do a pre-writing, you forgot to turn in your proposal, please get those into me as soon as possible, simply because university policy states I cannot accept that after the fact. Okay. So with that being said, take your time on draft 2, manage your time well this week as you do the intro, as you add things to, as you kind of fine tune and tweak everything. And then also, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you have the time to submit to the tutoring and then bring it back and make any additional changes and then submit it to me for the end of the week. Okay. As always, email me, message me if you have any questions or concerns. We're in the final stages. We're in the home stretch and you guys are doing a fantastic job. Okay. I will talk to you guys soon. Reach out if you need any help. I'm here for you.